Hey everybody, this is Perch talking a couple delays. If you've been tracking some titles, you may be wondering where they're at. Are they canceled? Are they coming later? What's happened? A bunch of news, pretty much about Marvel. We'll just keep it to Marvel. There's some other things going on, but let's go all in on Marvel. So there's a handful of titles that are late. And those really are, and this is late on top of late. So like Champions. MODOK, number 3, some King in Black tie-ins for Captain America and the Valkyries, Captain America itself, 27, Black Widow, number 5, Marvel, number 5. All those titles are late by about 3 weeks or so. A couple, two of those 4 weeks. But anyway, some delays. In addition to that, there's been some confusion because in the February solicits, there were a handful of titles like Black Widow that were missing, and there was some speculation that they'd been stealth canceled. The answer is no, they've just been delayed by a month, going back into March. They should pop up again. But one of those titles that was missing was X-Men Children of the Atom number 2. Now, Children of the Atom was the Vita Ayala book where it was kind of the next generation of mutants that were dressed up in tribute-ish costumes to the classic X-Men, sort of. There was a Gambit in there and some other things. At any rate, issue number 1 was solicited for January. Issue number 2 was nowhere on the charts. I had been told that it was going to ship bi-monthly. Now I'm told, no, actually, issue number 1 has been delayed again. It was originally supposed to come out back in March, I believe. But it's going to be coming out in March 2021. So number 1 is. So number 2 will be resolicited for April, and on it goes. Or maybe it will slide further. At some point, some of these books start to look a little awkward when they've continued to slide. But in addition to that, if you've been a fan of The Immortal Hulk, the last issue ended with a cliffhanger-ish. A lot of the issues are at this moment. It's a very tight, compacted storyline. Immortal Hulk, number 42, which was scheduled to be out here in just another week, has now slipped into mid-January, meaning everything is bumped back a month. So it's a rolling slip that everything is just going to kind of shove back into mid-January. The Chris Claremont anniversary special was also scheduled to come out, I believe, next week, and that is coming out next year, which means it's not quite an anniversary anymore. But that is also a late. Conan the Barbarian, which was next week, is scheduled now to come out at the end of January, and at least there's some sense that more is potentially sliding around where the Conan universe is concerned. But in addition to this, and this is where it's a bit of a joke at this point, Non-Stop Spider-Man has been stopped. That is another book that was scheduled for last year, I believe April, and it is now, it was solicited for January, and now it is delayed into March. Or no, sorry, it has been delayed to April. So April of 2021. So this is, it also, we're not sure why the delays on this book, but one potential clue is that Joe Kelly has brought on Dale Eaglesham to draw alongside Chris Bachalo. So both of them are going to be carrying the title in rotating, I was going to say rotating arcs, but now with the new solicitation for Non-Stop Spider-Man number 1, it is listing... basically, I got this wrong. Sorry. Non-Stop Spider. I'm looking at the solicitation. It's screwy how they've done this. Non-Stop Spider-Man number 1, delayed to January, has been moved to March. Non-Stop Spider-Man number 2 is what's coming out in April. So maybe they're getting back onto some kind of regular schedule. But what's curious about this is the first issue lists Chris Bachalo and Dale Eaglesham on together on that issue. So apparently you're going to get both artists in that comic for the first issue. And then issue number 2 just lists Chris Bachalo, but maybe that's changing at some point as well. And when you think about two art styles that are absolutely similar, definitely Chris Bachalo and Dale Eaglesham, just they go together. You can't even tell which one's doing what, for sure. They look exactly the same. That is sarcasm. I can't actually think of two more radically different art styles. It'd be like you throw like Michael Mignola on a book with like Oda from One Piece, and Yeah, they'll all blend together. It'll all be good. At any rate, things are moving around, and what I'm all. Oh, I guess there's one other piece of news before we get to kind of a broader discussion around the Marvel schedules and everything else. Is that Rob Liefeld, who's had an on again, off again, off again kind of relationship with Marvel? I believe he got a bunch of X fans in the X office pissed off about. I think it was Children of the Atom, actually. Um, he is going to be doing something for Marvel for Deadpool for the 30th anniversary, which will be next year. And so he's been sketching and drawing, and there's at least some expectation there's a comic or a poster or a cover or something's going on. We don't know what, but Liefeld's been posting little images of Deadpool that he's getting back in the habit of drawing. So at least there's some tease that we will get a Rob Liefeld Deadpool in 2021 for the 30th anniversary of the character. And we know how much these comic publishers love their anniversary issues. So got to get in on that. Don't know. Wouldn't it be cool if he was drawing the variant cover for Children of the Atom, the book that he complained about? That would be some fun. At any rate, overall, there's an interesting dynamic going on at Marvel right now, where if you're watching really, really closely the schedules and the titles that are coming out, things are getting looser and more unpredictable. And it's actually hitting two directions. It's causing titles to slip out, like the ones we just talked about. It's also causing titles to ship somewhat randomly, where you're not into a very regular monthly cadence. You'll see a bunch of titles kind of ship more rapidly on a 2 or 3 week cycle, and then back to kind of random again. It's interesting to see that some of the delayed comics are coming in with King in Black. Marvel has made it very clear internally and externally that King in Black is the thing they want to really make sure they land, that it doesn't go sideways. It's that, you know, those issues come out like clockwork on time so they can hit their sales, and they've scheduled them to kind of really land an anchor in each month so that they can potentially continue to dominate the sales cycle. I'm not sure how much that matters anymore to anyone, but they are worrying about it. So to see some of these other titles slip, it could be a case of needing to just line them up storyline wise, which is with what's going on in other comics. That's possible, but it also is I'll put it to you this way, and this is not me injecting fear and concern. So please take what I'm about to say in a balanced way, not an alarmist way. When you're looking at comics and you're looking at release schedules, and you're a retailer, and you start to notice a growing number of delays, of slips, of schedule, of just titles that are scheduled and then rescheduled and then rescheduled. That's always happening to some extent. There's always a few. But when they start to increase in number, it starts to look a little bit more concerning. And that's what this picture looks like a little bit. Children of the Atom is very that's a weird one, because we've seen we'll have Sword coming out this week, and we're seeing kind of more X titles join the fray on a regular basis. We see Vita Ayala showing up on New Mutants and other books, so it's not like it's not like Vita is on the outs anywhere. So it's concerning. That book, Nonstop Spider-Man, some of these other titles that are bouncing around, it doesn't indicate confidence, and in some cases, it has the strong likelihood of kind of not sabotaging, but basically denting the comic before it ever gets out to market. And then when you see that start to trickle down to other titles, I'm sure Immortal Hulk slipping out is not a good thing for anyone. That's one of the bedrock titles Marvel tends to count on. It makes you wonder kind of what's going on. And I think the other piece is there was this forced kind of pause, this pencils down moment where there was a recalibration of what titles were being scheduled and where. And we went through that, and there was a very slow return to service for Marvel. And so to be back in those problems again in December, January, it's not the most confident sign that I like to see. Again, I'm not trying to make more out of it than it is. Please don't interpret this as me saying the company's headed for disaster or any of that kind of stuff. But it is it's interesting to watch the schedule delays and kind of what happens there with those titles. But anyway, there you go. Hope this is useful information for you. If you are looking for any of those titles, that's what's going on with them. If you're a big fan of Children of the Atom or Nonstop Spider-Man, you're waiting a little bit longer, and maybe you've got something Rob Liefeld Deadpool coming your way to look forward to. But anyway, if you have any questions, any thoughts about any of this, ask them in the comments below. We'll be happy to answer your questions. Like, subscribe, click the bell for notifications. Thank you for all your support to the channel, and thank you for listening.